let that be the end of it.
Well, plenty for us to talk about here and to get our teeth into with Stuart Pearce, and of course I call him Dr. VAR because he was there very much at the start. Really, you went and you had the thorough briefing on absolutely every part of it. I just wonder, Sam, and you'll be able to tell us more on this, even what I've listened to from both managers at last night's game and everything. Is it a bit like some of the laws of the game? I'm not sure whether the players and the managers actually know exactly how VAR works.
Well, you'd like to think that wasn't the case, but I'm not entirely sure that it is. I mean, you know, the complaint last night, for example, from Maurizio Sarri when he turns up with a laptop and saying, well, my camera says this and my camera says that.
But it did, and this is the problem, isn't it? It wasn't the same one. There wasn't the same camera angle, but they should be putting whatever that angle is from Stockley Park, where they're all sitting huddled together.
They put it on the television.
We saw it. Yeah, but they didn't actually do it so that it was at absolutely right angles, did they? Till later, they didn't show it within the stadium.
But they used the Hawkeye mapping system to put the line across the pitch, and they concluded that after doing that Kane was onside. So they followed their protocols. Their protocols, it's never always going to be perfect. Suggestions are that he was offside. I mean, they insist that he was onside. He was offside. So, you know, they've done their work. That's it. It was a marginal call. If that had been allowed to continue in normal play, forget VAR, it'd gone through and was brought down by Arriva Balaga, and the penalty was given then, no one would be complaining about it.
I think the real problem we've got here, though, is that there is, like all of these things, the people that don't like VAR can continue to ram it down everyone else's throats that you can't trust it.
Well, you can trust it. I mean, the difference is that last year I was at a game involving Huddersfield and Manchester United in the FA Cup, and one of the broadcasters put up the wrong pictures, and the VAR was using a completely different set of pictures. They put up wobbly lines to mark an offside. That was the broadcaster's fault. Nothing to do with the VAR, but the VAR got blamed for it. Ultimately, the fact is that VAR gets more decisions right than it gets wrong, and it reduces the percentage of wrong decisions to almost infinitesimal amounts. It goes from a 93% success rate when you are just a normal referee with 2 assistants and a 4th official to almost 99%. And that's got to be a good thing.
I think it has, and I also think eventually, knowing the way things goes, and I don't want to judge it with cricket, I don't want to judge it with tennis, it's a very different, although it's the elements are all the same, it's a different complexity with the game, but I think that the linesmen in particular will have a lot more confidence if they know they can be backed by VAR.
Well, the other 2 things you've got to remember is, one, this is still a trial, okay, so we're still in the middle of a trial situation. We get to
why are we trialing it in semi-finals?
Where else are you going to trial?
Well, they can trial it in all sorts of areas, can't you?
You can't. That's the problem, isn't it? You say that, but there is no other games in which you can do that. You've got to get ready for when it comes in at the beginning of next season.
If it's ready, which it's already been at a World Cup, if it's ready, the trial isn't a trial. You just start there and go with it. You've got to have...
Well, you've got to make sure you've got enough trained officials, which they have got now. You've got to make sure that everybody knows how it operates. You've got to get the players used to it.
Yeah, but don't bring it in until they've got all of that, Sammy. I mean, it's pretty obvious, really, isn't it?
Not really. You have to trial it. Well, you have to trial it.
Well, OK, but trial it.
So we'll trial it. So what you're saying is that the Dutch League and the MLS League, which trialled it prior to us, shouldn't have trialled it until we're all ready to do it. That doesn't work like that. You know, the World Cup did it, but the European Championships didn't do it.
Well, that's wrong, though, isn't it?
Why?
That wasn't a trial at the World Cup.
It wasn't, because they'd trialled it beforehand.
Yeah, but if
it's
been trialled and it works, then everywhere should have it now. Because it's either being trialled or it's for real.
But different countries use different systems, don't they?
Well, slightly, but I think what you've got to do again is you've got to have uniformity on all of this. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's never going to be like it's a goal and that the ball crosses the line or not. It's VAR. It's either with us or it's not. One or the other. It's going to be with us. They have to get on with it, Stuart.
I'm a VAR Brexiteer, I've got to tell you. I've been listening to you two. Listen to this. I'm against VAR. I want the game of football to be the same all over the world at every age group. That's what I want. I'm not getting that. There's been a vote. I'm not getting it. There is VAR. If there's VAR, let's get behind the officials and help them out.
Yeah.
Yesterday just showed that even with VAR, there is fine margins. Is it when the player first has contact with a through ball? Is it when it leaves his foot? They are split seconds, and in that split second, players move. So there are, on occasion, they're not going to exactly get it right, but they will improve as time goes by. I agree with that.
And I think it's worth pointing out, I'm listening to that package that just was produced, and Mark Halsey speaks in it, and he said it's time for ex-referees to get involved in it. What I believe is that video assistant referees certainly should have an element of linesmen involved in it too, because linesmen spend their whole careers looking across the pitch to see offences and incidents like the ones that are officiated with the VAR, and they've got more of a keen eye for that. Referees don't do that role.
Sam, I also think you're talking about ex-referees getting involved, and I totally agree, but I also think if you've got a panel of 4 to 6 people at Stockley Park viewing a game, I think to have an ex-player there as well, with his mind's eye on playing the game, movements of players, that sort of thing, I think he would benefit being on that. It would benefit the Referees Association. And I'm not trying to put myself forward for a bit of work on that one.
No, I know you're not. And I think this is... the whole thing is difficult, isn't it? Because in the end, there isn't one player or one manager that scored a goal or won a cup thanks to VAR wouldn't think it was brilliant. And there's not one manager or not one player that has been beaten by VAR that will think it is right. Well, it's never, ever going to win.
Well, but then decisions have been like that with officials from day dot. It just means that the margin for error is going to be smaller than it was before. It's still the same conversations. There's still the same controversy. There's just not as many of them. I mean, you ask anyone in France what they like VAR, I bet you they say it's fantastic. Ask anyone in Croatia, they'd probably say it's not.
And just to go back to where we started actually with all of this as well, Sam, even Pochettino, he seemed to think he was waiting around for 5 minutes. He wasn't.
93 seconds.
Says it all. There we are. VAR, whichever side you're on. Perhaps you want a word with the boys later on tonight on the Sports Bar. 08717 2233 44. Stuart Pearce and Sam Matterface. They can get back to the day job now. We can think about a game in front of us here. It's a semi-final. It's the first leg of 2, of course, for a place at Wembley against either Spurs or Chelsea. It's Manchester City against Burton Albion, and it's next on TalkSport.
Yes, madam.
Hi, can I get a blanket, please? And an extra pillow, a pair of those lovely little headphones, and another bottle of water.
Madam, the plane has landed.
I know.
Like getting your money's worth? Enjoy the new bacon double cheeseburger. Just $1.99 from the McDonald's Saver menu. From 10:30am, price and participation may vary.
Smile. The TUI sale is now on. Reunite with thousands of free kids' places when you book a TUI holiday now. We cross the T's, dot the I's, and put you in the middle. TUI. Discover your smile. At all protected. Free kids' places subject to limited availability on selected holidays for a limited time. 1 free child place per 2 full paying adults. Booking T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Making your way in the world of sport is hard. Striving to be the best. Fighting to get to the top. Join Gary Bloom, psychotherapist, broadcaster and host of TalkSport's On the Sporting Couch podcast, giving an honest and refreshing take on mental health through the highs and lows of sport.
I had a perception which I could never change, and I did take risks. I took risks for the good of the game.
So if you don't have that about you, if you were timid, I don't think you'd make it all the way to the top somehow.
That's one thing I wish I had more. I wish I had more self-belief when I was playing and believed in myself more.
Subscribe on Apple or any other quality podcast provider.
Join me, John Norman, and the TalkSport team for the following on podcast. Get your daily dose of cricket all the way from the Caribbean. You'll get top commentary, interviews, and exclusive access from behind the scenes of the tour with some of the biggest names in cricket. So make sure you subscribe and never miss an episode. The following on podcast, available to download on Acast, iTunes, or any other quality podcast providers.
Your website shows your honest work and your hard-won reputation, but your rapidly expanding name must be broadcast across the nation. You've got your prices tweaked up fine. You've got awesome sales support. Now all you need's an ad campaign from the team here at TalkSport. Impress your friends and seriously irritate your competitors with a hard-working, cost-effective custom ad campaign on TalkSport. Find out what we can do for you right now at advertiseontalksport.com.
Kickstart your love life at TalkSportSingles.com. It's online dating in a different league. TalkSportSingles.com teams you up with loads of like-minded people in your area already looking for someone special. It's the perfect match you won't forget. Sign up today. You can set up your profile and even browse for compatible local partners, all for free. Don't be a spectator. Get a result in the dating game at TalkSportSingles.com. Monthly subscription applicable on activation.
Everyone knows it pays to shop around for the best energy plan. But if only there was a website which did all the hard work for you. Now there is. It's called switchcraft.co.uk. It finds the best energy plan for you and keeps you on the best deal automatically, helping customers save up to £518 a year on energy bills. Best of all, it's totally free. Switchcraft.co.uk, the one-stop, no-hassle route to cheaper energy. Start saving now at switchcraft.co.uk. The best deal forever.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
That is a superb goal.
Kick-off the Cup Special with Mark Saggers.
It's a quite brilliant goal.
On TalkSport.
Well, it's Manchester City against Burton Albion, and it's a 7:45 kickoff. It's a pretty sparse crowd in here so far. There were tickets, I believe, still available. It's not going to be full as far as Manchester City concerned, but Burton as well, the fans stuck in that incident on the M6 look as if they're nowhere near full. But we can't always tell, can we, at this stage? Sam, if I may, I know we've this has sort of delayed us all a little bit, but could you just remind us, please, if you can, of the two teams that Pep Guardiola and Nigel Clough have picked?
Absolutely. Manchester City trounced to Rotherham 7-0 at the weekend. I think Burton will probably be a little bit disappointed about just how strong Pep Guardiola has gone here. Clearly he wants to set his stall out, get his team in front and ensure that the trip to the Pirelli is not a tricky one in 2 weeks' time. He starts with the likes of England international Walker, one of the best players on the planet at the moment in Kevin De Bruyne, a £60 million record signing in Riyad Mahrez and Gabriel Jesus as well. 4 changes from that win over Rotherham. Muric, Garcia, Silva and Sane come in. So it's Aro Muric in goal, Walker, Garcia, Otamendi and Zinchenko the back 4, De Bruyne, Gundogan and Silva in midfield, Mahrez, Jesus and Sane as the attack, Ederson, Danilo, Stones, Foden, Sterling, Bernardo Silva and Delph on the bench. Burton beat Rochdale 4-0 at the weekend, and they've had a bit of an upturn in form recently. They start with Bradley Collins, the on-loan Chelsea goalkeeper, between the sticks. John Brayford passed the fitness test to start at right back. Jake Buxton and Ben Turner are the 2 centre-halves. Reece Hutchinson at left back. Fraser Wallace and Allen in midfield. Harness, Boyce and Akins will try and threaten the Manchester City back line, although you imagine that Harness and Akins, both of them very good at working back and helping out their fullbacks, will be probably deeper than they're usually deployed. Bywater, Sparrow, McCrory, Miller, Templeton, Fox and McFadzean are on the bench.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. Stuart, just a thought about all of this. You put it perfectly.
That was Benjamin Mendy, by the way.
How is he? How are you? Ben. How is he? Is he okay? Yeah? Is he okay? We're just waiting. We're just saying. You okay? You okay? You're getting fit? Yeah, he is. Good. He's thumbs up to us as well.
He's a practical joker. He does that quite a bit.
I think Pep was talking about him, wasn't he? He's not far. Is he a couple of weeks away?
He's training again. He should be 2 or 3 weeks away.
He said 2 or 3 weeks away, and he's in full voice. And he's in the Tunnel Club tonight, and that's why he's come past us and shouted.
Hijacked my microphone. Yeah,
he did. Well, there we are.
I've got to clean it now.
No, you haven't. No, I'm not going to talk about cleaning microphones and things like that. I'm going to talk to Stuart Pearce right now about what you do, how you cope. Do you have to have a bit of lady luck as well against a side like Manchester City if you're Burton tonight in the first 10-15 minutes as the two sides come out, or else you get run off your feet?
Yeah, you do, and I think an indicator would be Nigel would have had someone at the game on Saturday, and when Rotherham come to town and got done 7, that would have put some fear within the Burton ranks. But they've got to be nice and defensive. Your goalkeeper's got to play extremely well. Got to make sure you don't overextend yourself and don't concede an early goal.
Well, I'm hoping many of the Burton fans have made their way in here tonight. They're in their yellow kit, as they said, with that double black stripe down the front of their shirts tonight. They're ready. The two sides shaking hands out there in front of us. It doesn't feel really like an atmosphere is even built here just yet, but it'll have to. This is such an important game for both of these sides for totally different reasons. A very different flavour to last night, but can Burton somehow keep themselves in the tie until next time? It's Manchester City against Burton. Here is Stuart Pearce and Sam Matterface.
Well, alluding to what you said earlier, Stuart, in a country that's becoming ever more divided, where strong feelings are overtaking fact, and where who can be the most abusive has suddenly become a badge of honour, let's sprinkle a little bit of romance, shall we? 2019, positivity year. Burton Albion were only promoted to the Football League a decade ago, a club from a town more famous for its brewery than its ballers, a ground with an average attendance 20 times smaller than tonight's opponents. They are 2 clicks from Wembley. Managed by the son of a League Cup legend, twice a winner himself, Burton Albion, who have never reached a semi-final of such prestige, take on the English champions, the Centurions, the record breakers, Manchester City, managed by the famed Pep Guardiola. It might take a miracle, but why not dare to dream? Why not indeed? They are a 70-1 poke to win tonight. What chances do you give them?
About 70-1 then.
It's going to be an uphill battle, isn't it? Especially when you look at the Manchester City team, which starts with Aaron Maric in goal, Carl Walker, Eric Garcia, Nicolas Otamendi and Alexander Zinchenko as the back four, De Bruyne, Gundogan and David Silva in midfield. Riyad Mahrez and Leroy Sané are the 2 wingers, with Gabriel Jesus through the middle. The bench isn't providing too much light relief either for Nigel Clough and his team. Ederson is the reserve goalkeeper. John Stones, Raheem Sterling, Fabian Delph. Alan Wallace and Fraser in midfield, Harness on the right, Akins on the... that they wanted them to play in their alternate colours, will play in all yellow with a black stripe down the middle. Everything to gain and nothing to lose. We're underway in the second semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Burton Albion have already beaten opponents from a higher division already this season, and they immediately get on the front foot and have a shot on target through Lucas Akins.
Yep, first shot on target. I think you could have probably got 30-1 on that, couldn't you? Let alone 70-1 for them to win the game.
They've already managed to get beyond a team from a higher division 4 times in the Carabao Cup. A 5th time might be beyond them, but it is an opportunity to learn and to try and deal with some of the best players in the world. And they've got to deal with Riyad Mahrez here, who's been played in by De Bruyne, down towards the touchline on the right side, back to Walker, who's crossed into the boxes, headed away firmly inside the area by Kieran Wallace. It goes up to halfway, and Liam Boyce is fouled, draws the foul, and it's a free kick to Burton away to our right. And Nigel Clough wants a centre forward like Boyce, who can occupy defenders.
Well, let alone occupying defenders, what he's got to do is exactly what he done there. He's got to hold the play up.
Mahrez is onside here as the ball's drifted over the top of the Burton defence, and he miscontrols it, and it runs through to Aaron Maric, but that was a mistake in midfield. It was picked up on the halfway line. De Bruyne just turning and laser guided pass through the centre of the pitch. There was no offside flag against Mahrez because he was onside. If he had controlled it, he would have been through one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he certainly would have done, and Burton have started very tentatively at the moment after that early shot that they had. City have, as you would expect, bossed the early exchanges.
No away goals in the semi-finals this year, which is an important thing to remember. No extra time at the end of the second leg as well if the scores are tied. This is Sané on to Gundogan, 20 yards back from the edge of the penalty area, midway inside the Burton half of the field. It goes out wide to Zinchenko, whose cross is blocked by Jamie Allen, and he sends the ball to halfway, but Boyce can't pick it up this time, and it goes back to Eric Garcia, 17-year-old Spaniard, ex-Barcelona defender who impressed in his first game for the club against Leicester in the previous round. Header is firmly away to the edge of the box. Zinchenko with a shot from distance. He scored the penalty that sent them through, Zinchenko, but this effort is at least 2 yards wide of the goal away to our right-hand side, and it's behind and away for a goal kick to Manchester City. 2.5 minutes played on Talk Sport in the cool air of January, and it's 0-0.
Yeah, where Burton have got to be careful is when you play against City, it's not the area just in front of the central defenders that's the problem. They play the two players really high and wide. It's the areas sort of inside right and inside left position where De Bruyne will end up gravitating to and getting on the ball and Silva.
Well, Burton are the first League One side to reach this stage of the competition of the League Cup since Sheffield United in 2014-15. Funnily enough, Nigel Clough was the boss that day. And they are determined to enjoy the game. It should be fun as long as it's not double figures, one player said to me today. 83% possession so far for Manchester City. It could be a long night. Anything they get tonight they know is going to be a bonus. Chasing on the far side, Harness, who's trying to push Zinchenko back into his own territory. It comes across to Garcia, then wider right towards this near side, and it's picked up by Walker. Walker, who cuts those little disc holes in the back of his socks, plays it back to Garcia, then on to the gloved Otamendi, out to the gloved Sane, pokes it left, Zinchenko encouraged to run. Across comes John Brayford, who clears the ball up over the halfway line and out over on the far side.
Yeah, it'll be one of those. Burton are going to descend very, very deep. You can see that the game will be played near enough entirely in their own half, and in games like this against top quality opposition, concentration is the main thing you've got to be aware of. You switch off for one moment, you'll lose a player, they'll be in behind you.
Burton definitely going to try and be compact, get the wingers to help out the fullbacks, stay narrow, try to stop those little through balls on the edge of the penalty area that can slice you open. Don't concede in the first 10 minutes is something that Nigel Clough has been saying to his players non-stop over the last 48 hours.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And we're just looking here.
Gundogan swings a pass out to the left-hand side. There's space for Sane into the box, trying to get it towards Silva. Silva, it doesn't get it under control. It drops for Mahrez. He can't whack it. There's 8 inside the box wearing yellow who do eventually scramble it to halfway. Boyce controls. There's no one there to help him out. He heads it over halfway, but City have it back again. Still 0-0.
From a footballing aspect, I think Boyce could have the worst night of his life.
Here's the ball into the near post towards De Bruyne, who rises with a header. It was an excellent ball by David Silva in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Kevin De Bruyne was arriving and he just nudged it beyond the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. It's only taken 5 minutes for them to open the scoring, and it's come from Kevin De Bruyne. An excellent cross, a bullet header that was just pushed beyond the goalkeeper's outstretched right arm. It was nowhere near it, and it's Manchester City 1, Burton 0 already.
Yeah, well, I've got to commend Manchester City there. What a pass by Silva and a fantastic run and header by De Bruyne. And it's probably the worst possible start Burton could hope for.
But it is something that they went on about, the mantra, stay in the game, don't concede in the first 10 minutes. But they have done. And the omens aren't good, because the last time Manchester City had a home League Cup game against the League One side, September 2004. Were you here then?
Yes, I think I was.
Yes. Maybe not yet.
No, not yet.
7-1 hammering of Barnsley. And that was before the money. And the cameras that we've got that are on our monitors here have just switched to your old mate Nigel Clough, who looks slumped in his chair already at the front of the dugouts. That wasn't what he wanted at the beginning of this game. The goal from Kevin De Bruyne is his third of the season so far. And it is 1-0 to Manchester City early on in the game here. They have only had a couple of days to work on things because the games have been coming thick and fast. 7 and 23 for Burton Albion. And there's a foul by Brayford over on the far side. It might have been Harness actually who committed the foul over on the far side. And Mike Dean, who is the referee tonight, is given the free kick in Manchester City's favour. We do have VAR this evening as well, back in Stockley Park near Heathrow Airport. reviewing those 4 major incidents: penalties, mistaken identity, goals and red cards. Here is the free kick to be taken over on the far side by Gundogan. Gundogan has got a 2-man wall to beat here. He hits it right-footed into the near post, a flicked header by Otamendi, and it goes out towards this near side. I think Boyce maybe actually put a bit of pressure on Otamendi there. Sane's trying to get the better of Aikins, doesn't do so, goes out of play and away for a throw-in down in front of us.
Yeah, I think where there's a frustration, I'm sure for Nige, is you think some really clever play is going to open you up, where basically it was a 30-yard diagonal ball into the box and a great run, stuff that you would expect central defenders to pick off.
In the end, the 2 central defenders were out of position, and the man who was closest to De Bruyne was actually Reece Hutchinson, the left fullback, who had tucked in to try and cover. 1-0 Manchester City lead on Talk Sport. 8 minutes gone. Here is David Silva nudging it square to Eric Garcia, who, wearing number 50, trots back infield under very little pressure, gives it to De Bruyne. De Bruyne back to the centre circle, where it's picked up by Otamendi, wide to Zinchenko, who flips the ball from left side, looking to get it out to the right, and Walker. Aikins funneling back to help out, but De Bruyne is there, gets it back off of Sane and sends it central to Gundogan. So much speed about Manchester City, and Mahrez, who's whipped to the other wing now, tries to take it out of the sky, but the offside flag is up this time by Ian Hussin, who is the assistant down by the corner flag away to our right, and it is a free kick which Bradley Collins will take.
Well, as a learning curve, and Nige talked about a learning curve for his players, they would not have seen movement and passing like they're probably going to see tonight, you know, because City are a fantastic passing side. Once again, movement, a diagonal ball, movement off the flank, darting in behind was untracked. And they've won the ball again, Manchester City, after the clearance by Bradley Collins, the goalkeeper, and Sane's been played through towards the edge of the area. Collins comes out very quickly. Popular lad, Bradley Collins. Played in the Youth Cup final for Chelsea not so long ago. He's on loan from Stamford Bridge. He's jumped ahead of Stephen Bywater this season. The lads think that he is a very good goalkeeper. He was smartly off his line there, and he had to be. Yeah, he did. Fantastic run by Sane there. Just bisected the back line again, and the pass was, well, probably had an extra ounce on it than it needed.
Here is De Bruyne. Once again, Manchester City camped inside opposition territory. Walker's by the byline, pulls it back. Oh, and it's cleared away by the retreating Kieran Wallace and taken out towards this near side. They've hardly had any of the ball. Scott Fraser trying to get it out to Aikins on the near touchline. De Bruyne shuts him down. Aikins goes central, where it's picked up by Jamie Allen. Allen now on to Brayford. Brayford trying to get up towards the halfway line. It's not his first semi-final. He played an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. He's given the ball away there, though, and it's been picked up by Gabriel Jesus. He's run towards the edge of the area, giving it to Silva. Silva takes it wide, chips the ball into the box, hits the back of Brayford, goes behind and away for a corner.
Yeah, one thing Burton can't do, like Brayford done then, was give the ball away cheaply when they've had a little passage of play. And it's important as well for Burton, they're defending deep, but when they turn the ball over, don't try and go from back to front as quick as you can. They're going to have to pass the ball out, even at times if you risk the ball. I think it's worth doing.
That's what Nigel's been telling them, apparently, that they've got to play football. There's no point in trying to kick it long and trying to go direct, because they're not comfortable doing that. Here's the ball in towards the near post. It's aimed towards Garcia. It's flicked away and picked up by Boyce on this near side. He tries to send it forward looking for Allen, but it wasn't accurate enough, and it was cut out by De Bruyne, who then gets away from Allen. Boyce wins it back again. That's good work by him. Kieran Wallace sees it back to the centre half, Ben Turner, who scored in a League Cup final for Cardiff against Liverpool, but didn't win one. And he kicks it long. Now Aikins takes it on. Now they move up into Manchester City territory. Aikins gets the ball to Fraser on the edge of the area, then gets it back left side. There's space on the far side for Brayford. It comes through to Harness at the far post, who was leaning back and steered the ball over the top of the crossbar from 8 yards out. And Harness, who scored a hat-trick at the weekend, has missed an absolutely golden chance to get Burton Albion on the score sheet at Manchester City.
I'm not sure Burton will get a better opportunity to score than the one we've just seen. It went past everybody to the far post. Harness come in, opened up that left foot, tried to guide it into the far corner, and got it horribly wrong and skied it. Great opportunity.
Well, Marcus Harness always has something about him. He's got pace to burn. They've worked incredibly hard on his finishing because he has been erratic at times. He'd never scored 42 substitute appearances in the league before last weekend. He'd never scored for them. Only started a handful of games in that time. He's 22 years of age. He scored 3 at the weekend against Rochdale, and back in Manchester again today, he really should have scored once more. But it's Manchester City who are coming forward, and Harness has got to get back and defend because Sane's coming down the left side, turns on his right foot and whips it into the near post. It goes well behind this time and away for a goal kick away to our right. Brayford and Harness in conversation. He'll know that was a massive miss.
Yeah, he certainly will. And less than a minute later, Harness is defending in his own box and got turned inside out by Sane. So yes, he's got defensive responsibilities, but he's also got to get forward, and he's got to, well, when you get opportunities like that at places like Man City, you've got to hit the target.
Look, it's difficult when you come up against a side that has got the transfer budget of a small country and an established elite team in the Premier League that are playing football from the very top draw. But when you get your chances, you've got to take your chances, and they will rue that missed opportunity. Fraser onto Aikins, who's now progressed down into the left wing position, tries to get the cross in. It's blocked by Garcia, who nudges it out and away for a throw-in, which Hutchinson plays to Aikins, gets it back again, and then was there an offside flag up over on the far side as Aikins tried to receive it? It was, and there's going to be a free kick to Manchester City. Darren Cann is the official on the other side and spotted that. And it's a free kick to City deep inside their own territory. 13 gone. It is Manchester City 1, Burton Albion 0, and you're listening to Talk Sport, and here's the former Manchester City manager Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, Manchester City just deciding they want to take a free kick for offside wherever they want to take it from, and not the exact place where the offence took place, and still they haven't got it right. But Mike Reed's going to let that go, I think.
Not Mike Reed.
Dean, sorry. I was thinking of running round for a minute. And Burton are getting the run around.
Which is remarkable because this grass is so long, isn't it? You know. Did you see that story?
No.
About one of the Liverpool podcasts suggesting that Pep Guardiola had grown the grass to stop Liverpool from playing last Thursday. Pep's emphatically denied this, by the way. Ball played by Silva out to the left, looking for Sane, racing through the 18-yard box. Poor cross by him. Away by Hutchinson, the left fullback for Burton Albion. He gets it again on this left-hand side, plays it infield to Fraser. This is them trying to play out now, Burton, which is quite effective. They move up to halfway, gets away from De Bruyne. Hutchinson after his return ball from Fraser, receives it again. Fraser turns, needs a bit of help, runs infield, tries to play it forward and combines with Boyce, gets it back again, progresses to the edge of the 18-yard box, wide for Aikins, and Walker has to come across and produce a slide tackle. That was good football.
That's exactly what Burton have got to do. As we mentioned earlier, they won it in their own penalty box and played right through the thirds to get into the oppositions. If they go back to front, that ball will return, well, with compensation on it, basically.
Aikins trying to take on Walker, sends it into Boyce. Boyce trying to turn inside the area. Garcia has to turn it out for a corner, and Burton have caused a bit of trouble for the Manchester City defence, and Pep Guardiola rises from his bench, not entirely satisfied with that. Corner kick going to be taken by Harness on this near side, and this is where you see Ben Turner come up from the back, and Buxton too, the big burly centre half and no-nonsense captain at the heart of the defence. It's aimed in towards the near post, away by Jesus. Fraser didn't connect, and neither in the centre of the pitch to Kieran Wallace, and now they're a little bit outnumbered because City are breaking, and when they do so with rapid acceleration. Zinchenko speeding down the left wing position after being released by David Silva. It's cut out by John Brayford, and it's back to halfway, but it is back in the possession of David Silva, and then Ilkay Gundogan. Walker with space on the right for Riyad Mahrez. Instead they go into the middle of the pitch where Ilkay Gundogan is trying to orchestrate proceedings further on to Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne now back infield to Silva, and then on to Gundogan, who clips it down the left, controlled well by the byline by Silva, hoisting it back centrally. Fraser is there, brings the ball down and tries to shoot it upfield to Boyce, who can't reach it, and it will run loose in the Manchester City half.
I think Burton have eased into the game a little bit. You know, I think early on they looked a little bit nervous, tentative. I think that goal has almost settled them down. They thought, well, what's the worst thing that can happen to us? And they've tried to play a little bit more through the thirds, and you know, that's good to see for the sake of the game.
Well, the Brewers have always believed that they are playing good football. They can play good football in League One. You know, other managers in the division will tell you that they are one of the best footballing sides. One of the problems they have had is scoring goals. They make few mistakes at the back, and in the last 6 games it has come together a little bit. But here come Manchester City. Offside flag is up as another crossfield ball picks out Mahrez, and he picks out the far corner. But again, very quickly the offside flag was up on this near side. But what a ball that was again. Gundogan clipping it right over the top of the defence. This time just running a little bit too early. Riyad Mahrez is offside.
Yeah, if they've got the wide receivers like Mahrez and Sane making those darting runs inside, then there's individuals in the midfield that can pick them out all day, and Burton have got to stay with runners. If they don't, there'll be a big problem. Got it right there, the offside trap though.
Nigel Clough just in conversation with the 4th official Lee Mason down in front of us, as Bradley Collins clears upfield towards the halfway line. Pep Guardiola in a pair of grey skinny jeans and a big thick chunky white scarf and a stadium jacket, rams his hands into his pockets and just looks over proceedings from the edge of the technical area. The ball is thrown down the left to Boyce. He can't control it. City have it back. Zinchenko takes it towards the halfway line. 1-0 Manchester City lead. You're listening to TalkSport in the Carabao Cup semi-final. First leg. The second leg played at the Pirelli Stadium in 2 weeks' time. Exactly 2 weeks today, in fact. Here is Sane. Back into Silva. Silva forward to Gundogan, who's halfway inside opposition territory. He sends it wide to Carl Walker. Walker on to Mahrez. Mahrez trying to get away from Aikins. Brings the ball in field. De Bruyne takes over the playmaking role and gives it to Walker. Again, Burton with 5, 6, 7, 8 bodies behind the ball. Zinchenko trying to thread that pass through a number of bodies, but he can't because Harness brings it clear. And then Fraser thought he was fouled by De Bruyne, and the ball ended up at the feet of Gundogan, but Harness then turned it over, and Fraser quickly got it out wide towards Boyce, who's being trapped by Zinchenko. He comes in field. Aikins is there in support, and so is Allen, edge of the area. A right-footed shot, which he digs out and gets right underneath and ends up skying over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, just the last few minutes, Scott Fraser, he's come into the game a little bit for Burton, holds the ball up well, very left-footed, but his link play and interactions with Boyce today, I think, are going to be really important.
Yeah, it's a good little technical player, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's a Scotsman, brought his family down from Dundee for New Year. Forgot to mention, though, that Burton will be playing in Bristol at that time. Here is Mahrez down the right for Manchester City, dancing into the box. He sends the ball back to the edge of the D. Gundogan with a strike, but never on target, always veering away from Bradley Collins' goal, and it's out and away for another goal kick away to our right hand side. Worryingly for Burton, Manchester City have scored at least 2 goals in all of their last 12 home matches.
I think this financial lifeline to a club like Burton's been brilliant. This cup run has really brought some money in, and it's good to see. Sags mentioned earlier about the way end. It looks pretty full up down there now, doesn't it?
It does indeed, actually, and I do hope as many people as have been able to get away from that incident on the M6 goes right up into the sky. The stand away to our right now, they extended it a couple of years ago, and there's quite a few Burton fans that have made the journey. Don McGuinness is down on the touchline.
Well, as you say, that top tier of the south end of this Etihad Stadium is pretty full now, so many have managed to get here. The M6, though northbound, still shut, as we understand, so thankfully many Burton fans have made it in time.
Maybe they've been diverted. Google Maps is pretty good nowadays. Here's Silva down the left-hand side, ball through the 6-yard box, missed by Collins, cleared away by Hutchinson. Only as far as Zinchenko's 15 yards back from the edge of the area, looking for Sane, who's a late runner into the box, gets to the byline, produces a cross. Again, it's loose inside the 6-yard area. It's cleared away by Ben Turner and out to the far side. Might have taken a deflection there and goes out for a Burton Albion throw. 1-0, but Burton having to defend for their lives.
I'm starting to lose count now of the times that Sané's made that run from out to in and got in behind the back line. Now, as a defender, you've got to turn around and say, I'm going to have to play in a little bit tighter, and if you're going to play a ball, it's got to go outside me. It can never go inside me, and the striker can never get on the end of it. Otherwise, they're in behind you, they turn you around, they flash two across the face of the goal there, and they're very fortunate to get away with that.
Yeah, very close on both occasions, those dicey balls across the 6-yard box, both of them eventually dealt with by Burton, but on another day there could have been someone lurking there, and they'll be pleased that Sergio Aguero at the moment is not around, not on the bench tonight, which is good news for Burton. And they do have some replacements though, don't they? Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, John Stones, all available to come on should Manchester City need them. At the moment, doesn't look like it will be because of an emergency. They lead by a goal to 0. David Silva has the ball in the centre circle. City lead by that goal that he created. Kevin De Bruyne finished off his header, just starting to get his fitness back up after what has been a first half of the season which has been peppered by injury. He played a starting role at the weekend as well, and playing again tonight. David Silva just trying to play the ball out towards the left hand side, and that was a misplaced pass by David Silva.
There's a first. It's interesting to see what Burton are actually doing. What they're doing is Brayford's coming inside to sort of pick up Silva, which is enabling Sané and Harness to go up against each other, if you like, in a sort of wide right back situation. And to be quite honest with you, it's Harness that's losing his runner every time with that diagonal ball inside him.
It's a battle that Sané is winning.
Fair to say.
Boyce trying to win a battle with Otamendi, just leaves you a little bit on him. The Northern Ireland international, former Ross County and Cliftonville striker. 9 goals this season, the top scorer. Looking to score against Premier League opposition this season for a second time. Here he is, running towards the edge of the area. Gives it to Akins, inside the box, trying to jink his way past the defender. Walker can't do so, comes back to Boy's edge of the area. He tries to move it quickly away from Gundogan, but loses out to the German international, and City break away. At speed, on the left-hand side, Silva feeds Jesus, who canters into the box. He gets it onto his right foot, a low shot to the far corner, which trickled and teased its way past Collins, and threatened to kiss the outside of the post, and then just narrowly dribbled wide.
What sort of scoreline do you feel as though would be an acceptable one for Burton to take back to the home leg?
Well, we went to the quarter-final against Leicester City, and Manchester City started brilliantly in that game, got themselves 1-0 up very early on, and we thought, because of the way that Leicester had constructed their team that night, that they were going to be on the wrong end of a quiet hiding. In the end, it was 1-0 for a very long time, and they nicked a goal, took it to penalties, could have actually won it in normal time at one point. So I think, 2-0, if it's just 2-0 at the end of the game, they'll be delighted with that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it'll be a difficult game for them at Burton. They've done really well at home against some upper league opposition, if you like, and in this game they're having their moments.
Yeah, it's not as if they've been sitting back 10 players behind the ball. I've seen people come to Manchester City and not go over the halfway line. Burton haven't been like that at all.
Yeah.
Here is Allen in centre field, plays it into the feet of Kieran Wallace, who was an England schoolboy. He's got boundless enthusiasm. He's a diligent and reliable player in the heart of that midfield. He finds John Brayford, who sends it down the right hand side. I hear that Ben Turner is the racing aficionado in this team, but John Brayford, I know from experience, is pretty good with the GGs as well. He was a horse race owner at one stage, if I remember rightly. Bumped into him at Uttoxeter races once upon a time.
Nice.
He's got a dress sense that you would love.
Country gent.
Oh, he loves it.
Lovely.
Loves a bit of tweed. Ball is out level with the edge of the Manchester City penalty area, and this is a rare attack for Burton. They find Harness into Boyce and then back to the edge of the area, but it's lost by Allen, then given away by De Bruyne, and Harness has sent it on to Boyce inside the area, tries to get beyond Zinchenko, couldn't keep it under control, and Manchester City eventually deal with it rather comfortably and clear it away from the left full-back position. 27 minutes gone first half. City would lead by a goal to 0.
Yeah, I just think it's the tentative start that Burton have put in has been costly, certainly with the goal. The more the game's gone on, the more they've grown into the game. They've been comfortable with their passing, but they've got to be. There's been 4 or 5 gypsy warnings about people running in behind, which they haven't heeded.
Sane tries to get the cross in. It bounces off the legs of Brayford and it goes out on the far side away for a throw. Picked up by Otamendi. The volume rises inside the Etihad. Zinchenko moves towards the edge of the box, comes in field, exchanges passes with Gundogan across to Walker. Well, that was the threatened pass, then came in field to Sane instead, went out wide to Silva onto Sane, tries to get to the byline, cross comes in, takes a deflection, goes behind away again for a corner.
Yeah, it's Sane once again just dipping in behind the back line of Burton, and Harness is really struggling to keep on top of the movement of him, and that is the area of the pitch where Burton look very, very vulnerable.
Corner to be taken over on that far side. It's going to be De Bruyne who takes it short, gives it to Mahrez who runs towards him, back in by De Bruyne towards the near post, misses everyone. I think Gabriel Jesus was trying to get in front of Bradley Collins, but couldn't quite see that because there was a couple of people that were going to get their half-time cup of tea at the Tunnel Club. Actually, it was probably more like a gin and tonic. Just stood in the way of the goal away to our right.
It's a bit early to be ducking out on 28 minutes, really, isn't it?
It is, but it is a free bar.
Oh.
Apparently. I've never been in there. Looks nice though, doesn't it?
Oh, it's very pleasant.
Cultivates a good atmosphere amongst the gentry here away to our right. Here is Garcia taking the ball from his goalkeeper and sending it out towards the far side. Riyad Mahrez now taking it on. Talking of good atmosphere, the spirit amongst this Burton group is very good. Nigel Clough fosters that sort of atmosphere. Here's Sane trying to get round the back of Aikins. Aikins shows him inside. Gundogan tries to get the return ball. He's lost him now, and Sane's lifted it over the top of the goalkeeper. Found the on-running Gabriel Jesus, who just about gets in front of the goalkeeper Collins and nudges it over the top and into the net. It was an excellent move, brilliantly crafted. Sane teasing Aikins down the right side. He cut in, played it into Gundogan, who returned it by lofting it over the top of 3 defenders and taking them out of the game. It was poked forward by Sane, took a deflection off Collins, I think, actually, went into the air, but sniffing around for whatever was left was Gabriel Jesus, and he just nudged the ball into the empty net, and it's Manchester City 2, Burton 0.
Yeah, I've been just suggested it was Harness on the right hand side, couldn't deal with Sane dipping in behind the defence. He swapped wings and he's done exactly the same to Aitken. He's laid the ball off, all eyes are on the ball from the Burton back line. Amateurish defending really, and you've got to stay with your runners no matter what league you're playing in, what round of a cup competition. If you're facing someone up and they play it inside and run, you've got to stay with your runner.
Well, that was an absolutely brilliant finish from Gabriel Jesus, an instinctive finish by Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, it was, and on both occasions Burton have conceded goals. They've had numbers in the box, haven't they? Enough to deal with it, a potential problem, but it's just being attracted to balls, not staying with runners.
When you're playing against a team that can boast a squad with 979 international caps between them, you've got to make sure you do the basics right. Here is Gundogan trying to flick it forward into the area, and David Silva. Manchester City winning here by 2-0 without breaking too much sweat tonight so far. 32 gone. Otamendi out wide to Sane. Sane back down the left, exchanges passes, gets to the byline, produces another cross into the near post, clutched by the goalkeeper, and it's an easy catch by Bradley Collins.
Yeah, I'm starting to lose count of the time Sane's been behind the back line of Burton now.
Yeah.
And, well, I'd say sooner rather than later, something that he directly gets on top of will happen once again that will create another goal if they don't solve that problem.
He is an unbelievable player when he's on form, and he's very much been on form since being back with Manchester City this season. Had a little wobble early doors, was left out of a couple of big games, but ever since then he's got his attitude and his application right. And if you look at his goal record after getting back into the national team as well, 11 goals in 18 games for club and country.
Yeah, that's not too shabby at all.
Draper to take the throw-in on the far side for Burton, who find themselves 2-0 down. It does mean, of course, that the second leg of this Carabao Cup semi-final will be a bit of a non-event if it ends up being 3 or 4-0. I suppose the way you can look at it is as a celebration of the campaign as a whole for Burton, and an opportunity for their supporters to see some of the best players in the world.
Yeah, I mean, you've just got to, if that does happen, and I certainly for Nigel's sake and for Burton's sake, that it isn't that, and it isn't a dead rubber in the second leg. You've got to just look at the game and take it in isolation if you're Burton Albion, and say, look, we've got a one-off game now against Manchester City. Can we win it?
Here on the halfway line, the ball is picked up by Hutchinson, the left fullback for Burton. Aikins has given it back, but not precisely, and that allowed Manchester City eventually through Mahrez and De Bruyne to win the ball. Jesus, the scorer of Manchester City's second goal, sends it on to Sane, then gets it back again. He's running at the Burton defence, 3 are tracking him, but he's managed to turn and send it to the left edge of the box where Zinchenko has arrived. And now Gundogan with another clip over the top for David Silva, square towards Jesus, who's got all the time in the world to hit it off the inside of the post and slam it in. And Manchester City have a third goal in the 34th minute of the game. It's threatening to be a very difficult night for Nigel Clough and Burton Albion, ripped apart by precision and ruthlessness. Manchester City once again clipping the ball over the top. It looked for all the world actually as if there was possibly an offside against David Silva there. I mean, it will go to VAR anyway, so we will know. It looks like a third goal, but hold on a second, it may be that he's well offside. And we're just getting the review now. I'm looking at it as it breaks. Well, naturally David Silva is onside when the ball goes over the top. Then he squares it to Jesus, who was in an offside position. He then fires home. Is the phase of play reset when Silva gets the ball? If that is the case, that's a goal. If the VAR deems that's not the case, it'll go back to 2-0. VAR certainly judging that. I mean, he's onside, isn't he? When the ball,
yeah,
Silva's
his hands
onside.
In an offside position, but as you pointed out before now, that doesn't interfere with play. But this is what frustrates me as an ex-defender.
It's a goal.
Jesus is in an offside position. If you're telling me that is second phase when he rolls the ball in the net, I'll tell you you're deluded, because it is not second phase at all.
The referees will say that every time the ball touches a player, the phase is reset.
If it's touched by a defender, I'll turn around and take your point. If it's played over and you stand offside and receive the ball from a fellow striker, for me, that's got to be flagged offside, I personally think. Because you set your position as a defender in regard to where all the strikers are.
Well, the VAR has checked it. The VAR has agreed with Mike Dean and his official on this near side, Ian Husson, and it is 3-0 to Manchester City.
Well, what has happened once again, whether you agree with the offside or not, certainly the first pass to Silva was not offside. He's kept himself onside. Great run. But what Burton haven't done, they haven't tracked their runners again, have they?
It's the same ball, isn't it?
It is exactly that. It's a small dinks ball, a diagonal ball potentially, with good runners and good movement in behind.
And Burton now 3-0 down, and will be slightly concerned that they may end up suffering their record League Cup defeat tonight unless they get a grip with proceedings. We've still got 10 minutes before half-time. You're listening to Talk Sport. Here is David Silva on the left side, finding Leroy Sane. Sane again coming in field. Zinchenko with a cross into the box. Oh, actually, no!
I don't know if he meant it. In fact, I don't think he did, because he's turning round and suggesting that maybe it was a little bit of good fortune, but he's elevated the ball high into the air. It's gone over Bradley Collins and into the corner of the net, and it's 4-0.
Well, when you're 3-0 down at Manchester City, the last thing you need is the left back to sweep across in the box that goes in your top corner, and I think that's exactly what he done. But the goalkeeper could do absolutely nothing about that whatsoever.
Well, that is his first ever goal from open play for Manchester City. He scored in the shootout against Leicester. That's his first goal from open play. And whether he meant it or not, it was some spectacular strike. It was 35 yards out. He swept it high into the air. Goalkeeper didn't see it coming. It looped over him into the roof of the net.
Yeah, well, listen, we're on 37 minutes and it's 4-0 now. That 70-1 odds has probably drifted slightly, I would suggest. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure Nigel will be frustrated with his own team in the inability to stay with runners. You can't do anything about the last goal we've just seen. You can't do, you know. You've got players behind the ball and it's been floated, it's gone in the top corner. You have to hold your hands up and say, well done to you. But for the 3 goals prior to that, you know, he'll be disappointed if that happened against his team in League One, let alone at Manchester City. You've got to stay with your runners.
4-0 to Manchester City. Here is Fraser bursting into the Manchester City box. His cross takes a deflection. It bumps up into the arms of Muric, and it's cleared away by Manchester City, who fancy more goals here. And De Bruyne's running through the centre, tries to feed Sane, and it bounces off of a defender and goes back to the goalkeeper Bradley Collins. Let's go down to the touchline and hear from John McGuinness, who's sitting behind Pep Guardiola. What was your view of that goal, and what was the reaction on the bench?
Well, plenty of smiles all around. What was really interesting was the reaction of the crowd when they saw it again on the big screen. Lots of oohs and ahs, and the angle that they saw it from, it looked like Zinchenko certainly meant it. Now, if his big brother Kevin De Bruyne had done that, everyone would be just saying that is one of the goals of the season. But I don't know, the jury's out really. We'll have to catch up with Zinchenko after the game, because the crowd certainly believe he meant that, and the bench would suggest they thought he meant it too.
Did he mean that, Stuart?
He's a left back, yes, of course he meant it. They are the talented playmakers. They have been for centuries. Sace will tell you that. Especially the left back.
Started off as an attacking midfield player and actually plays most of his football in central midfield for Ukraine when called up to the international team. So there is every chance that he did mean it.
Well, listen, it was a fantastic finish. It ended up in the top corner and the goalkeeper could do nothing about it.
I don't think anyone saw it coming. It is 5 minutes before half-time, and it's Manchester City 4, Burton Albion 0. And there's a long, long way back now. Here's Leroy Sane towards the edge of the area, finding Silva into the box. He finds Gundogan. There's space for De Bruyne on the edge of the box, who sends it wider, still out to Walker. Walker back in field to De Bruyne. Doesn't get the first cross on it, but the deflection takes it behind and away. He thought initially for a corner, ended up not being so. And it goes out and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side.
Well, it's fair to say I think the Manchester City tailors will be coming up to measure for suits tomorrow for Wembley, potentially.
Yes, I think that they can start plotting their trip to one of the hotels. That'll be live on TalkSport, of course. The Carabao Cup final at the end of February.
Do you think that Claude Puel is sat there now watching this game thinking to himself, you know what, I think my team can beat Burton and I should have put a stronger team out for Leicester?
He's probably not, but he should be.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's something that we said at the time, and even though they did get those 3 big results in the festive period, I still stand by the fact, and I think Leicester fans will tell you, that they would want cup success if possible this season, because what happens to Leicester City's season now? They could have been playing in this fixture tonight. They're not. Manchester City are as a result of their team selection, and what happens? They're mid-table in January. They're out of the FA Cup, out of the Carabao Cup. What they're competing for?
Well, exactly. Pride, really. But the way you talk about resting players and then winning games afterwards in the league, I don't see the correlation personally. For me, they might have won a cup game and won the league games as well.
It's not they're not mutually exclusive, are they?
No, exactly.
Here is Harness down the right-hand side, trying to get in between Zinchenko and Gundogan. And maybe we did Zinchenko a disservice. Maybe he did mean it. Either way, It looped well over Bradley Collins and into the net. Here is De Bruyne, who has to hold his run because Sane now picks it up and sends it square. It's behind one defender. Mahrez trying to deal with it, picks it up on the volley, and it's saved by Collins and pushed over the top. Well, it was a bit of a pinball inside the 18-yard box with backpedaling defenders attempting to clear and not managing to do so cleanly. It came to Mahrez. It was a difficult one to control. He juggled with it, popped it up to volley, did so, and in the end, it was a brilliant save by Bradley Collins and out for a corner.
It really was a wonderful save. Ball pinballing around, and he's got a fantastic touch just to tip over Mahrez's effort there. And they're almost shell-shocked, aren't they, the Burton backline?
3 minutes to go before half-time. 4-0 the score on Talk Sport to Manchester City. The cross to come in from the near touchline. There's 5 or 6 blue shirts to aim at for David Silva, who launches it inside that 6-yard box. Comes off a defender. I think it was Jamie Allen who was back there. And it goes out and away for another. In fact, it was Hutchinson who just about got the final touch on it and sends it behind and away for another corner for Manchester City.
After this corner,
here is Mahrez. Silva back to Gundogan. Gundogan with a cross into the box. Brayford with a header away, only as far as Zinchenko, encouraging him to shoot again. So he launches one towards the far post and away by Harness. Picked up by Mahrez though. He sends it back into Gundogan. He can deliver another peach of a ball. He does that. Brayford gets it away. Zinchenko again volleys the ball goalwards. Away by Buxton this time, out towards the near side. And it goes out and eventually it's a throw which Gundogan will take, and there's a bit of respite for that Burton defence, which is at the moment been pinned back right on the 18-yard line.
It has, and it's a case of just getting the basics right. You know, a corner comes in the box a minute ago, no one heads it, and it lands basically in the 6-yard box. That can't happen in the league, it can't happen in the FA, and it shouldn't certainly happen at Manchester City. They're the basics you've got to get right on nights like tonight.
Zinchenko across to Garcia. De Bruyne sends it infield where it's picked up by Gundogan onto Mahrez, who flicks it round the corner, gets the return, and did it take a little deflection on the way through and goes out? Mike Dean is just walking over to Jesus. There was a bit of contact on the edge of the area. I wonder if the VAR is going to have a quick look at that contact and see if there's anything in it. I don't think Mike Dean believes there is, but Mahrez is just going over to have a quick word with Mike Dean to check on it. Gundogan played the ball into Mahrez. Mahrez flicked it up to Jesus, and Ben Turner was very close to him. Now, was there contact inside the area? There was a little bit.
Yep, there was. He's kicked his standing foot basically. Yep. Now,
referee taking instruction. In the VAR definitely looking at it.
Yeah, in the strict letter of the law, he's kicked him, and it's a foul. It's in the box. It's a penalty. Yeah, I personally hope for the scoreline's sake that he doesn't give it, if I'm being honest with you.
I think he's going to. Ben Turner kicked at Jesus. The ball had gone by the time there was contact between the two. Oh, he hasn't given it.
No, I think.
So is that not a clear and obvious error then? I suppose that is what the VAR has decided.
I think this is ideal to stoke our learned friend to our left, Sags, up on VAR again, because I thought it was a bit of a shambles in the summer at the World Cup, the VAR, with the pulling and the tugging that was picked up on at times and not at others, and I've seen someone get kicked in the box now tonight. VAR check it and say no, he obviously wasn't kicked in the box.
Yes. Sports Bar's open for business at 10 o'clock tonight. 08717 223344. The debate will continue to rage. Here is Aro Muric, the goalkeeper, who's been underemployed tonight so far over on the far side, and he's played it out towards the left. Lots of people now just deciding that they've seen enough of this first half, and they're about to go and take their half-time refreshments. Ball played square by Garcia, up to Mahrez. 4-0 the score for Manchester City, given away by Man City, and then Gundogan wins it back after Hutchinson's pass doesn't reach Fraser. Fraser does get it back in field. Wallace takes over, and then it goes back to Hutchinson, and eventually it's cleared by Ben Turner through the middle of the pitch. Boyce tries to chest it down. There is a tackle from behind, and this time Garcia is penalised and a free kick is given. And if that's a foul, then the kick in the box is a foul, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. And the problem is that you're never going to get over the fact that people want consistency, and if you do want consistency, ultimately, even if you don't want the scoreline to be 5-0 at half-time, that probably is a penalty.
Listen, I've had a look at it. I've seen it twice now. I think it's a penalty. If someone just kicks the standing foot of a player in the box who's helped the ball round the corner, for me it's a penalty. But I didn't want to see it given as a penalty because I've sort of got a vested interest in the manager's safeguard down there in Nige. But the bottom line is, this is why I'm not in favour of VAR.
Total passes, City 314 in this first half so far, Burton 153. They haven't been completely without the ball, it must be said, and there were a couple of times early in the first half after they rode an early storm in which they threatened to get on the score sheet themselves. They missed a massive chance, Harness, in the early part of the game after they'd already gone 1-0 down to equalise. They didn't take that chance, and Manchester City certainly have taken theirs. They've scored 4 goals in this first 45 minutes plus the added time that we now have had. Their pass success rate 89%, Burton 77%. The biggest statistic is the one on the scoreboard though, and that's come about because of a lack of tracking of runners, little balls over the top which they wanted to prevent but haven't been able to do so. And the half-time whistle goes with knowledge that Manchester City have progressed from each of their last 10 ties against lower league opposition in the Carabao Cup, and believe me, it certainly looks as if that trend is going to continue. At the break, it is Manchester City 4, Burton 0.
Thank you, Sam. Peterborough United are beating Chelsea under 21s by 3 goals to 1. You can follow that on Talk Sport 2 right now. Shame really, this the whole game's sort of just gone really, isn't it? I mean, first half, you know, if you can't deal with Manchester City in that first 10, 15, 20 minutes and they go like that, you're really going to be struggling. The crowd here, there's been no atmosphere really whatsoever. It's just been disappointing, I think, really.
Yeah, there's that early goal. You know, what the game needed was Burton taking the chance they had, which they didn't, and secondly that they stay in the game as long as possible. But what they've done, they've made some basic errors, Sags, whichever way you look at it. I'm trying to protect Burton a little bit, but they have just not stayed with runners, and they've not dealt with the ball in the box from 20-30 yard give and goes.
Not only have they made those errors though, the problem that you've got when you're up against a side like Manchester City as opposed to another side in League One is they've got so much time anyway that they're not going to miss those sort of opportunities, are they?
No, they've been very clinical with their finishing, and what Burton haven't done, certainly in the wide area with Harness, who's been sadly at fault in a defensive role that he's been asked to do, is he's not learned from the original mistake or the original run. You know, when you're defending your goal and someone makes a clever run in behind and the ball gets played in and you get away with it, or you don't get away with it, whatever the case may be, you turn around and say, you know what, I see what he's done there, and you remedy it. They've not done that.
They haven't done that at all. And what do you do now in that dressing room? What do you say?
If you're Nige, his players will walk in that dressing room. You're 4-0 down at Manchester City. If Manchester City keep turning the screw potentially, they could get another 4. Let's say that. He's got to build the confidence of the players. No point berating them at this stage. They're shell-shocked, I think, walking in that dressing room. He's got to say to them, can we go out and get a point in the second half? Can we go and win the second half? You know what I mean? And see where it takes you. It's for pride now.
It is absolutely for pride, and it's a shame really for a semi-final at this stage. But Manchester City are likely to do this sort of thing, Stuart, to anybody, not just to Burton, you know.
No, listen, we've seen them rip top teams in the Premier League apart. Make no mistake about that.
I think one of the things with that as well is that Pep Guardiola is such a manager that those players out there, they don't put their own take their own foot off the gas, because if they do that, they might not well be playing for the next 3-4 weeks.
That's the worry. You know, the two conversations in the dressing room, I can see Pep berating his players, saying, come on, we can do better. I can see that being the case. Nige, on the other hand, would want to do it, but he's got to lift his team.
Well, somehow he's got to lift his team. It hasn't gone their way. Just a final thought, though, going forward a couple of times. Fraser looks has done well. I think they've got themselves into a couple of opportunities, but they've not had that presence of mind or confidence just to have a go, have they?
No, they haven't. And as I say, I think Fraser's looked quite good. There was a mid-range in the first half where he's held on to the ball and he's knitted things together a little bit. But listen, they've created one good chance, and it arguably might be the best chance of the game that they've missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there we are. 4-0 at half-time here. You'll have your chance to have your say later on tonight. The Sports Bar will be open for business from 10 o'clock as always. 08717 22 Nathan Jones, the former Luton Town manager, was named as the Stoke City manager today. We'll talk more about that after the game as well to come here. And plenty more action. Talk Sport 2 if it's Peterborough United you want. Going well right now against Chelsea's under-21s in the Trekker Trade. They lead by 3 goals to 1. You're listening to Kickoff on Talk Sport. We don't know who from that first semi-final last night, although Spurs nudged themselves in front of Chelsea, who are going to go through. I think it's pretty fair to say Manchester City await the winners of that match.
Here's the ball into the near post towards De Bruyne, who rises with a header. It was an excellent ball by David Silva in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Kevin De Bruyne was arriving and he just nudged it beyond the goalkeeper. And it's Manchester City 1, Burton 0 already. It comes through to Harness at the far post, who was leaning back and steered the ball over the top of the crossbar. Sane's lifted it over the top of the goalkeeper, found the on-running Gabriel Jesus, who just about gets in front of the goalkeeper Collins and nudged it over the top and into the net. And it's Manchester City 2, Burton 0. Now Gundogan with another clip over the top for David Silva, square towards Jesus, who's got all the time in the world to hit it off the inside of the post and slam it in. And Manchester City have a third goal in the 34th minute of the game. It's threatening to be a very difficult night for Nigel Clough.
Coming in field, Zinchenko with a cross into the box.
Oh, actually, no! I don't know if he meant it. In fact, I don't think he did, because he's turning round and suggesting that maybe it was a little bit of good fortune. But he's elevated the ball high into the air. It's gone over Bradley Collins and into the corner of the net, and it's 4-0.
Join me, Paul Hawksby.
And me, Andy Jacobs, for our soon-to-be award-winning H&J Daily Podcast.
We can but dream. It's the bite-sized best bits of our show with big-name guests, Andy's mad ramblings, and the odd impression of Sean Dyche.
That's your job, by the way.
And it's available every weekday evening.
That's your job, by the way. That's your job, by the way. No, yours has got too high. It's up there. It's not John Major.
Okay. So make sure you subscribe on Acast or any other podcast provider.
Work van. Functional, trusted, vital. But what about advanced, desirable, distinctive? Introducing the all-new Peugeot Partner with innovative surround rear vision and the acclaimed Peugeot iCockpit teamed up with a payload of up to a ton and room for 2 Euro pallets. It's more than a work van, it's a partner. Voted What Van LCV of the Year and International Van of the Year 2019. Master the impossible. Experience all-new Partner and drive it for yourself at your local Peugeot dealer. Discover more at business.peugeot.co.uk.
Oh, I've just finished this amazing book. Do you want to borrow it?
Yeah, love to. What's it called?
My Life as a Dancer.
What's it about?
Well,
Sometimes the name says it all. Like the Big Tasty from McDonald's, with succulent beef, cheese, sliced tomato, lettuce, onions, and lashings of our Big Tasty sauce. Available with or without bacon. Served after 10:30am until the 29th of January. Participating restaurants only, subject to availability.
Imagine yourself 50 years from now. What are you doing? What have you done? Society predicts not much. We predict the opposite. Because we see what you could be. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Make it mean something. Your army needs you. Find where you belong. Sedge, army jobs.
I fancy this coat, and we'll get that mirror. And what about this sofa and maybe...
I know it's a sales, but should we slow down a bit?
You shouldn't have to choose between a new boiler and the things you want this January. We're with you. That's why all our new boilers come with 2 years interest-free credit, nothing to pay up front, and a 5-year British Gas warranty. Plus, book a quote by the 28th of February, and once we've installed your boiler, we'll give you a £150 gift card to treat yourself.
Ooh, the baby department.
What?
Search British Gas new boiler. Credit subject to status. Conditions apply.
Difference, daring. It's unexpected. So if you're ready to leave what you know behind, you'll be surprised where different takes you.
The new powerful and efficient Honda Civic Sportline. 0% APR and £1,000 off when you book a test drive. Offer ends January 31st. Honda dealers are credit brokers, not lenders. Finance provided by Honda Financial Services. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Credit subject to status for over 18s only. Terms and conditions apply. Visit honda.co.uk for more details.
Your gut says you've got a good feeling about the football this weekend. But gut instinct is nothing without your smarts. Listen to Talk Sport every weekend and get all the latest form and odds on all the big matches from Betfair's betting expert before you go with your gut. Make sure you've got all the smarts you need with the Form Zone. Throughout the weekend, every weekend, on Talk Sport with Betfair, where gut instinct meets smarts. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Radio's #1 goal machine.
Slammed home again!
Kick-off, League Cup Special with Mark Saggers.
Oh, brilliant!
On Talk Sport.
Here at the Etihad, Manchester City in complete control at half-time, leading Burn by 4-0. Jason Cundy.
Good evening, Sags. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, it's been tough for Burton.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, look, we're seeing the game we expected to see, aren't we?
Yes.
I feel a bit sorry for them. Look, they've got to this stage of the tournament, which is a fabulous achievement. They're up against one of the best sides in the world.
Yeah.
We're getting what we expected, and if they can get something out of this, maybe keep the scoreline respectable, I think that's probably right now what they're hoping for.
Yeah, it's really difficult for them. Just a couple of things I want to have a word with you, and I want to bring Stuart back in on this as well here. VAR. I have been for it. Well, first of all, I was really against it. Then I got it explained, and I thought the start of the World Cup was awful, but then after that they sort of stopped them all pulling each other and it got better. And I thought, yeah, it's going to come and we're going to do it. I want the whole lot just to be shut away and I don't know, never lock the door, never open it again. I mean, I don't see the point, actually.
I can see both sides. You know, I understand exactly what...
We shouldn't have both sides, though, should we? Well, it's got to be something that
we know that VAR,
right.
But we know VAR can work. We know that. We've seen it. We've seen the World Cup.
Here tonight.
But you know, are we in? It's in its infancy. Are we going through the motion of actually? We're still actually learning. The World Cup was the best example I've seen of the VAR, and my head was turned, and I thought, do you know what?
Yeah,
that's how it's going to be like. But
mine was
last night, and we've seen it over the last couple of nights, and in the FA Cup over the weekend. Actually, there are still some teething problems. I think
it's not teething problems. It's not teething problems,
well,
Jason.
It is, Sags.
Sam Matterface barked on about teething problems. It's not.
Sags,
there was a penalty. There was a penalty.
Where?
There was a penalty.
Where?
Inside the box.
When?
The Burton player brought him down. Yeah.
Tonight?
Yeah. And he didn't give it.
It's not a penalty. It's not a penalty, Zags.
Why?
Because I don't see. This is the whole point of VAR. It's subjective still, and this is why you've got to accept. You've got to suck it up. Some decisions are black and white. The black and white ones are, unfortunately, my argument's going to break down here. Offside. I saw a photo last night where Kane was offside. I saw a photograph last night where Kane was onside. So I don't know where you go with this tonight. That's not a penalty for me.
Okay, what about the other thing? Because, Stuart, you remember goal hanging in the playground, don't we?
I was a master at it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Just to stand by the jumper and then just tap it in from a yard out?
Yeah, when all the other kids are running round, you just sniff one out on the goal line and wheel away celebrating.
To be honest, you might as well keep one of the forwards for Manchester City, just stand him on the 6-yard box. Because second phase is, I don't know what's the first phase and the second phase now. Do you, Jace?
Well, these players are clever. Stuart, know exactly what I mean by this. Managers and players will try and circumnavigate the laws of the game.
I mean like that. Yeah, but everybody does. Nothing clever about standing on the 6-yard box and Sane makes the run and then he passes it to you. And the great Brian Clough said, If my players aren't interfering with play, they shouldn't be on the field.
Well, that's a different argument. Again, the way the laws are now viewed, is he offside in the second phase of play? Well, the answer's no, he's not.
But what's the second phase? You tell me definitively what a second phase of football is.
A second phase is when the ball is played. He may be in an offside position when player A receives the ball, but when player A passes the ball to player B, if he's offside, it's offside. If he's onside, then he's onside.
Right, so you might as well goal hang. You might have somebody might as well sit them down on the edge of the 6-yard box, and while all the action is at the other end, they can have a rest, and then they can jump up, and then they'll be offside, but as long as the other bloke goes passes him and drags it back.
It's the same for both teams. I'm not saying you're right.
Well, it's a nonsense.
Well, it's the same for whatever way you look at it. It's the same for both teams. Both teams are capable, better players.
But it's a nonsense.
There's no right and wrong answer here. I'm not arguing with you, Sags, and say it, but
no, I know. I don't mind you arguing with me, because I think these debates have got to happen for a lot longer.
But right now, the way it works, if you receive a ball when you were originally in an offside position and you're now onside, you are onside. That's how it works. It's hard. As a defender, I used to leave players offside. He'd be offside. You think he's offside. Now, you can't leave him there, because if the ball is then a part of the second phase, he then becomes onside, but you've now lost yourself 5 yards. He's now got the advantage, and you lose. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just telling you how it is. We've got to...
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on many ways. I like VAR like you, and then I hate it, and then I like it, and then I hate it. And at the moment, I want them to get the biggest padlock in the world and lock it all away.
Well, I think we all have to accept it's here, it's going to come, and it's how we deal with it. As fans, one thing that really has laid the myth to complete bed is that VAR is going to stop the debates in pub. That was always the argument. Well, what about debates in the pub? What about debates on TalkSport? Not a bit of it. It's still alive and well. The debate is still here.
Have you got any debate tonight?
No, we're going to well, Marko Arnautovic has had his head turned, triple the wages apparently by the club.
West Ham says it's not happening.
Well, you can't blame them, but do you know what? If the player wants to go, as we've seen in previous transfer windows, he can force that move. China always rear their head in January, don't they? Never really see them in the summer. January, here come China, the Chinese league. So they'll be looking at us get in. We've got Joby McAnuff, a former Wimbledon Crystal Palace and Leighton Orient midfielder, joining us in the studio. Back pages. Because it's a Wednesday, we have our awareness section. Elaine Hindle, Chief Executive of Drink Aware, because it is dry January. That's not dry white wine for anyone else that's listening to this. Sarah Wolsey, Executive Director of Quidditch, joins us on the phone, and we've got our movies guy as well.
Sounds pretty good to me. Good stuff.
Cheers, thanks. All from 10. Cheers, guys.
Brilliant. That's Jason Cundy with his thoughts. It's so difficult. Burton are out there. Been out there for some time at the moment. Good luck to them in this second half. Love to see them score at least, but it's going to be so tough. Manchester City, we await them to come out. The VAR debates will go on. The debates about Arnautovic and the Chinese money, and much more. Don't forget, Peterborough United are 3-1 up against Chelsea over on TalkSport 2. Full commentary on that one. We're here, the second semi-final. Somehow, somewhere in this second half, Burton have got to try and score at least a goal and make sure that they don't concede too many more here, or else it could be a little unfair and embarrassing for them on a night like this, which I don't think anybody wants to see after the magnificent way they've managed to get to this semi-final. But my word, Manchester City are sharp, and they won't be blunted by whatever's happened in there at half-time. They'll be straight at it once more. So too will Stuart Pearce and your match commentator Sam Matterface on TalkSport.
Well, Burton expected that Pep Guardiola would like to get the job done nice and early, finished if possible in this first leg, and certainly they have such a healthy advantage after that first leg, well, it appears that way after the first leg, that the second game down at the Pirelli Stadium is looking increasingly like it's going to be a tough occasion for Burton. I'm sure they'll embrace it. I'm sure they'll welcome one and all to the game, but it's not going to be the kind of occasion that they would have hoped for. And I think you and I had a conversation straight after the draw in which you said to me, I hope that the first leg is at the Pirelli Stadium.
Yeah. For me, that would have been perfect for Burton. They could have hopefully got something out of it.
Here's Zinchenko finding Sane early in the second half as Manchester City attack down the left-hand side. Again, it's the same ball. Again, the runner isn't tracked.
Yeah. Well, let me approach the first question first. Yeah, I always felt as though Burton had to get the first leg at home to give themselves a chance of at least having a go at Manchester City and try to get something to hang on to coming here. That wasn't the case, and obviously at half-time we got a 4-0. And once again, it's, as you said, it's the same run that are picking them open time and time again.
Well, Manchester City haven't made any changes, neither have Burton at the break, so the home team have Muric in goal, Walker, Garcia, Otamendi and Zinchenko, who has scored his first goal from open play for Manchester City today. De Bruyne, Gundogan and Silva in midfield, Mahrez, Sane and Jesus up front. He's got 2 goals today. He got a hat-trick against Shakhtar in November here. He's looking to get his second one of the season. And they're on the attack now with Walker flying the ball from right side to left. Can't be controlled this time by Sane. Goes out and away for a throw-in down by the corner flag.
Let me just tell you how Burton have to solve the problem they got at the moment. At the moment, Silva's got in that inside left position. Brayford's come in, tucked inside and gone to mark him. So that's making Harness come back and follow Sane back. Harness has got to just go and deal with Zinchenko, the fullback. Go and deal with him. Brayford's got to stay wide and deal with Sane, and another holding midfield player's got to get in and around Silva, because otherwise more of the same is going to happen to them.
4-0 the score, and Burton have got Bradley Collins in goal. He's been beaten 4 times and made 1 very good save. Brayford, Buxton, Turner and Hutchinson the back 4. Turner very lucky not to have given away a penalty on the stroke of half-time when it looked for all the world as if he was going to. Allen, Wallace and Fraser in midfield. Harness on the right, Akins on the left and Liam Boyce leading the line. It is 4-0 to Manchester City, and the ball is on the near touchline with Leroy Sane. I mentioned earlier it's not new territory for Nigel Clough. It's the 3rd time he's managed in a League Cup semi-final. He took charge of Derby's second leg, a 4-2 defeat against Manchester United in 2008-9. He led Sheffield United to this stage 4 years ago when they lost to Spurs. And now he's in charge of Burton Albion. Here is Gundogan trying to thread the ball through the middle of the pitch, looking for De Bruyne. It's shut out again by Burton and taken to halfway. Zinchenko keeps things moving. 3 minutes played in the second half. Here is Walker, just trotting over the halfway line in the centre circle on the right side. He clips it out towards Mahrez. Return ball from De Bruyne is offside, and Mahrez is flagged very quickly by Darren Cann, the eagle-eyed official over on the far side, who very quickly rose his flag. It's Manchester City's 11th League Cup semi-final. They've qualified on 6 previous occasions. They'd rather like this competition. 4 Carabao Cup finals in 6 years they're looking to reach, and that shows a certain level of appreciation that Pep Guardiola was underlining for this competition. Gundogan gives the ball away inside his own half. Lucas Akins takes it over and runs down the left-hand side, tries to just nip in field and get into the box. It's cut out very quickly by a diligent Manchester City, and De Bruyne, with those long legs and lean limbs, starts to move the ball up through the middle of the pitch and send it wide via Otamendi to Zinchenko. Then Silva takes over and he clips the ball in field. Garcia, the young Iberian, brings the ball through the centre circle, sends it wide. It's taken on by Jesus in pursuit of that hat-trick. Back to Otamendi, then on to Zinchenko. Midway now inside the Burton half. They move down the left, just slowly but surely progressing to a threatening area, Manchester City, menacingly so. Mike Dean has to skip over the ball, such is the speed of the pass into Gundogan, and it's out to Sane. Silva, Sane again. Sane looking up and trying to find the free man. That free man is Gundogan. He goes for that familiar clipped ball. Sane checked his run, this time didn't dart after it, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our left.
Yeah, they've got such comfortable possession, probably about 30-35 metres from Burton's goal, that you know as a wide player you've just got to dip into that little bit of space just inside the box and that ball will be delivered.
There is a good spirit amongst this Burton group. I mentioned that a little bit earlier on today. Nigel Clough thought that they'd worked very hard over the Christmas period where they had a number of games. They actually went from 17th in the League One table to 9th. Such was their good upturn in fortune. So on the way home from Rochdale, he stopped off at the Chippy. Everyone got fish and chips. They took him to the Village Hotel in Rochdale and let them all have a pint.
Yeah. I wonder where he gets that from.
Would that be a chip off the old block?
Yeah, it's brought the memories come flooding back, that is.
Here is Zinchenko down the left looking for Silva. Picked up in midfield though by Wallace, who switched it to the far side, and Burton on the attack with Aikins. Aikins running towards the edge of the area, pulling it back to Fraser, edge of the box, left-footed drive towards the far corner. Wasn't too far away that from Fraser. Maybe just leant back a bit, went a little bit loopy rather than driven towards the far corner, and as a result of that wasn't the pace to take it away from Aro Muric. It was a little bit too high too, swirling away from goal.
Yeah, it was a good effort. He's been the one for me that's caught my eye in a Burton shirt. I think he's had a decent game, to be fair. He's knocked the ball around pretty well. He's linked things together when he has, and he's worked tirelessly for the team as all the Burton players have. I've got a good story for you. I'll wait for a break in play.
Here the ball has been played out by De Bruyne onto the right hand side of Mahrez, who's brought down by Lucas Aikins, and we're going to get a free kick to Manchester City, level with the edge of the penalty area on the far side to the right.
Talk about young Cloughie stopping after a game for fish and chips. My first pre-season was away in Holland, and Cloughie has seen someone having chips with mayonnaise dipped into them.
Yes.
So he's asked all the subs, did they want some? So we've all ordered burger, chips and everything. And then we cop an injury to one of our players. So Ian Bowyer's warming up with a cheeseburger and chips on the touchline, and Cloughie shouting, "Bomber, you're going to have to go on." He said, "I ain't finished my cheeseburger yet." So he's finished his cheeseburger and on he goes. You know, it's fantastic.
Indigestion?
No, he didn't move around that much, to be fair to him.
Here's the free kick. Gundogan in towards the near post, headed into the air by Aikins, and headed away further by Wallace up towards the halfway line. Ketchup or mayonnaise?
Mayonnaise. We're at. There's a big thing in Holland, the mayonnaise, rather
Belgium
than
and
ketchup.
Holland, yeah, with the Fritz.
Yeah.
Here is De Bruyne trying to find the run of Mahrez, who comes in from the right side, charging into the box. It's cut back by Fraser, and now Hutchinson takes it wide. Decided to come back centrally. It might not have been the wisest idea, but Wallace has found Aikins, and then Hutchinson taking it up towards halfway, engaged by Jesus, scooped over the top for Boyce to chase. Garcia might get there first, does, but Boyce doesn't give up the ghost, runs, nips, gets hold of it, produces a cross into the box, looks for Jamie Allen, but Otamendi reads that, manages to clear. It goes through the middle of the park once again. Mike Dean has to skip over the ball. Successfully he does so. It runs through to Silva, and now it's picked up by Jesus. Into the Spaniard once again, up to Sane, surrounded by 4 players, still comes away with the ball. Silva onto De Bruyne. De Bruyne further wide, Zinchenko joining the attack, a low cross into the 6-yard box, skipped into the air by Buxton, and then out towards the near side and Harness, and then Allen with a great bit of skill to take it out of the sky, finds Fraser, lovely little drag back by him. He looks quite a fine player actually, Fraser, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He gallops along, but he takes care of the ball, got a nice left foot, very cultured left foot on him.
Only 23 years of age, Scott Fraser. Harness on halfway. Back in field it goes to Buxton, and then on to Brayford, who tries to clip it down the line. No one really showed for him, and Brayford complained about that. Goes off Sane and goes out for a throw on this near touchline. Might not be sports science approved, the old cheeseburger, Fritz and mayo diet, but no. Stopping off at a chippy after a game with the group, I'm sure does raise the spirits.
Yeah, it does. As I say, certainly in moderation, it galvanises the group. I know Kevin Keegan used to do that all the time with his early 80s Newcastle team. chip shop on the A1, I believe, at Wetherby.
Newcastle, that was Big Mac, wasn't it?
Saggers nipping in with a little aside there. Malcolm McDonald reference for those of you who didn't quite get it. Here's Brayford out towards that is Supermac. Onto Harness. Harness tries to pick it up and send it infield. Picked up once again by Fraser. Sent wide to Boyce. Boyce, who playing for Northern Ireland in the international break, was a thorn in Bosnia's side. One of the big problems that Northern Ireland had actually was putting the ball in the back of the net during their international game. Boyce was called upon a couple of times by Michael O'Neill. And he certainly does a lot of running. Not as much running as Hutchinson and Aikins over on that far left-hand side. Aikins always has the best running stats of a match. He will do today because he's had to play left back and left wing. Here is Walker out towards the far side. Aikins is out there in that left back position, that double left back position, trying to cover. At times, Burton having to play with a back six strung along their 18-yard line, as they are at the moment, as Manchester City threaten to come forward again. 4-0, but interestingly, in the 11 minutes we've had in the second half, no goals for Manchester City.
Yeah, they've just slowed the tempo a little bit down, City. Obviously, the scoreline would reflect that.
Mahrez, Silva, Mahrez again. Mahrez into the box. Jesus going for the hat-trick. Rises and poaches the hat-trick with a header angled across the goalkeeper, beyond Bradley Collins and into the net. 5-0 the score, and Gabriel Jesus from Mahrez's cross from the byline gets his second hat-trick of the season to make it Manchester City 5, Burton 0.
Well, just as I was saying, they're playing with a slower tempo. They up the tempo, a little give and go. Once again, players watching the ball and not the runner. Mahrez on that occasion, and what a fantastic floated little cross. He's just dinked it to the middle of the goal and said, there you go, fill your boots. And Jesus did.
And those boots have been filled. It's amazing, isn't it, what your mum can do? His mum came back from Brazil. Ever since then, he can't stop scoring. He went on a barren run while she was back in South America, but since she joined him for the festive period, he's been much more confident. And one of the big debates that's been raging on social media will now come to an end, because Phil Foden, who was expected to get some minutes tonight, was sitting on the bench for a good while this evening, but no longer Don McGuinness.
No, he comes on. That was the only negative, really, from City fans' point of view. Why didn't Phil Foden start? Started against Rotherham at the weekend, scored a goal, but of course Pep wanted minutes in the legs of Kevin De Bruyne. He has got that, and Foden's got just over half an hour to get involved in the mix and maybe get his second goal at the Etihad on De Bruyne off.
Are you claiming that one from the weekend, is he? Phil Foden?
He certainly is. I spoke to him after the game as well. He was absolutely delighted. It didn't matter that it would be one of the scruffiest goals of his life, probably. He was so chuffed. He's a lifelong City fan from just down the road. It meant the world to him. It really was. It was great talking to him. Just a kid loving life.
The Stockport Iniesta is on. And he scored his first goal for City in this competition away at Oxford. Slightly more clean strike than the one he got at the weekend, which, hey, they all count. It was a little bounce off of his thigh and into the net, but he will be happy enough with that. In fact, he, as Tom's already said, he was absolutely delighted with that. And as a result, he is on the lookout for another one here against an opponent which is being well beaten. 5-0 the score. And should it stay like this, this would equal Burton's heaviest defeat in the League Cup. They were beaten 5-0 against Liverpool in August 2006, and it's 5-0 tonight.
Well, I'm not sure this will stay 5, if I'm being honest.
Jamie Allen trying to prevent Jesus from adding to his total, takes it out towards the near side and tries to kick it clear. There's a bit of an issue here for Jesus, who thinks he got a little whack on the ankle. He's hobbling back into position now. Scoring goals always going to be a problem against Manchester City, but Nigel Clough actually showed his players a stat earlier in the season which highlighted their issues. It suggested that they needed more chances than anybody else in the division to score a goal.
Yeah.
And that was obviously quite frustrating for them. They put that right at the weekend, scoring 4 goals against Rochdale. They've had a couple of good results recently, but that's an area that I'm sure he's trying to improve.
Yeah, and you know, Sordell's out as well, isn't he? He's not fit, so another option up front.
Yeah, someone you work with in the Great Britain Olympic team. He's out with an injury which has kept him on the sidelines for a very long time. They know they didn't have Devante Cole tonight either because he's cup-tied.
And was it Boyce that suffered an injury in his first game when they brought him? I think he was out for some time as well. Did he have Achilles or cartilage problem?
Yeah, he had a few issues, and obviously he had to go on international duty when they played games in the league. Because he was called up by Northern Ireland, which I know that some other managers had complained about. Nigel didn't, but some of the other managers, I think the Wigan manager wasn't too happy about it at some point. When
you got to have 3 players away, haven't you, to get your game called off?
Will Grigg was called up to the Northern Ireland squad. I don't think he was too particularly pleased about that. Here is Phil Foden picking the ball up in centre field, trying to run through the penalty area. He sends it wide to the right where Walker is joining. He gets to the byline, produces a low cross which fizzes through the 6-yard box, hits Brayford in the face, and then falls inside the area, and Akins has to react and hoist it out towards the far side. Another one of those crosses that only just about got dealt with.
Yeah, I think this last half hour of the game could be one of the longest half hours some of these players in yellow shirts will suffer in their careers.
Well, it was a long journey in the end for some of those Burton supporters, even though it's not that far from the Pirelli Stadium to the Etihad. But here's Jesus, played down the left-hand side, faced up with the goalkeeper. Good save by Collins. Comes back out to Phil Foden, and there's his second goal at the Etihad Stadium. It's a much cleaner finish than his first here, but the Stockport Iniesta, the darling of the Manchester City fans, is on the score sheet again, and Manchester City are racking up the goals with ease here tonight. This is a lovely ball, a delightful pass. It goes into the middle. It's played down the middle of the pitch on the left-hand side by Gundogan. It sends Jesus away. He hits it against the goalkeeper. It was spilt by Collins, came back out into the 6-yard box, and Foden had continued his run. No one followed him, and he popped it home. It's 6-0.
It's that movement once again. Brilliant movement by Jesus. I've got to say, he's almost pulled away from it sideways and backwards and then darted in behind Buxton. And, you know, Buxton's got eyes for the ball, but the player is the danger. The runner in behind your back line's the danger.
There's more danger here because Sane's been played in by Jesus. He's down the left side. He tucks it back to Silva. How has he put that over? 8 yards out, leaning back. It's a yard over the top from David Silva. 9 goals already this season. He should have had 10. Again, they're playing far too deep here. There was an issue involving Turner, who was just labouring on the edge of the box as City were trying to come forward. The ball had been turned over. Sane was sent down the left. He tucked it through the area, a square ball into Silva, and he lifted it over the top of the crossbar.
I don't think he can believe it himself, to be quite honest with you. The most basic of finishes he's managed to get underneath and put over. But the one thing City do really well, once they hit the byline, Sane the case, then they get their head up and they look for that pullback, and there have been some fantastic pullbacks across the face of Burton's goal.
We'll go down to the touchline in just a second. Dom McGuinness is just watching as they're about to bring on another substitute, Dom, and imagine if you're Burton Albion, you're 6-0 down, the last thing you want to see is this guy.
Well, the thing is, Paul Warne said it after the game against Rotherham at the weekend. He took Sterling off and put Sane on, and he said he had to just grab a word with his fullback and just say, just keep smiling, son, because it was just that demoralising. Now, I think Sane is going to come off, but Bernardo Silva is going to come on, and, you know, again, having a great season. It's, again, that's the word I'm getting down here, that it will be Sane, but we wait for the official confirmation with the board, but Bernardo's coming on.
He was magnificent in the game against Liverpool, I thought, Bernardo Silva. He was crafty, he was excellent at defending, he got back and spoiled, he played a deeper role in that game. Absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. Here is Sane picking the ball out of the sky, down the left side, into the near post, flicked in by Gabriel Jesus, who has a 4 for the 7th for City. It's another magnificent 7 for Pep Guardiola's City Slickers. For the second time in 2 games, Manchester City hit the magic number, and it is 7.
Well, we said about movement in behind. There it was. Once again, Sane darting in behind. And when he gets to that touchline, he's rolled it through the defender's legs. It's a fantastic pullback. It really is. And all Jesus has got to do, outside of the foot, through the defender's legs.
Oh, the ball's brilliant from Sane.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, John Braper's standing there. His legs are, half a metre apart.
Yeah.
Sane, with his left foot, with the outside of his left foot, has curled it between his legs onto Jesus. He only has to get a toe on the ball to take it past Collins.
Yeah, it's just so much quality involved in it and presence of mind.
Bernardo Silva is coming on, and off comes Leroy Sane, and Manchester City with that substitution.
The only thing that's helpful here to Burton is, I think Sane has been the one tonight that's ripped him apart. I really do. His movement in behind. Harness will be absolutely delighted that he's being replaced.
Yeah, Harness will be. So will Brayford on this near side, who's playing as the right fullback. But they have just switched things around. So Bernardo Silva's gone out to the right, and Riyad Mahrez has come out to the left. So those two players on this right-hand side have now got to deal with the tricky Algerian and one-time PFA player of the year. 21 minutes gone in the second half, so 67 overall, and it's 7-0 to Manchester City. And it now is the record defeat for Burton, should it stay this way or get any larger in the League Cup. Pretty impressive from Manchester City, who have been ruthless. And you know, we talk a lot about teams that rest players in the Cup and don't take this competition seriously. Manchester City have under Pep Guardiola and are doing right now. 7-0. De Bruyne, Jesus with a few goals to his name, 4 of them. Here's Mahrez down the left-hand side trying to add to that. Zinchenko and Foden also on the score sheet tonight. And now it's a chance for Burton to make some changes. John McGuinness.
Well, Jamie Allen is going to make his way off. There's going to be a double substitution made by Nigel Clough. Liam Boyce, Jamie Allen are off. On are coming David Templeton and Ben Fox. Can it make a difference? Obviously, Manchester City just threatening to reach double figures here. The double substitution made by Nigel Clough.
Yeah, indeed. And I think they know that the game is probably up. Jamie Allen looks a little bit upset, so does Boyce, as they walk up to the first row of the bench and take their tracksuit tops off of the kit men and go and sit at the back row and think, I wonder if things would have changed if we'd taken that early chance. Probably not too much at all, but it was a massive chance after they'd conceded an early goal to just give Manchester City a bit of a fright. The way Manchester City have approached the game has been very professional, very diligent, and extremely professional, and they've got 7 goals as a result of that.
They've been so clinical in front of goal, Sam. They've not been wasteful. I can't remember the Silva chance is probably the only one I can say was a good chance, a really clear-cut chance that they missed. The rest of it, the back of the net. The one thing you can say from Burton's point of view, the revenue that this cup run has generated the football club, you know, they've dropped out the Championship, where they've got arguably one of the lowest budgets within the Championship last year. This year they're in League One, where probably they're nowhere near the top budgeted club in League One even.
Silva from Jesus' pass out wide to Mahrez on the left side, in towards Carl Walker, makes it 8. Got his first goal of the season against Newcastle, gets his second against Burton. He arrived late into the box to get on the end of a Mahrez cross. It was just in front of the penalty spot when he stabbed it home, and Burton are in serious trouble now. They're falling apart here. It's Manchester City 8, Burton 0. What do you think?
Good finish there. Once again, great movement, great interchange of play. Slide rule pass, and it's Mahrez in the position that Sane's been frequenting for so long. Now this time it's Mahrez causing problems, pulling the ball back. The pullbacks from the Manchester City players from those dead ball areas have been absolutely on the money, honestly. All Kyle Walker's got to do, and it was filled up with yellow shirts, and he's picked Walker out, and all he's got to do is open his body and slide it in.
8-0. I mean, is there any part of you that thinks that Pep Guardiola should just say, gents, shall we just leave it here?
Listen,
would you do that as a manager? I don't know. I'm asking. I think Jose Mourinho, I know, would do that. I said it in the past.
I'll tell you what, I got berated once. We were beating Aston Villa at home 6-0 for Forest, and my performance, I sort of took my foot off the gas a little bit, if you like, and didn't get forward as much as I normally did, and I got berated by Brian Clough for not doing that. He said, if we score 4, we want 5. If we get 5, we want 6. And that's the dad of one of the managers down there that was telling me that. If it applies then, it applies now.
OK, their record scoreline came in the FA Cup. They beat Liverpool Stanley 12-0 in October 1890. Can they get anywhere near that? Here is Bernardo Silva. The cross from the left from Zinchenko was picked out of the sky by him. It's played on to Walker down the right. Across comes Fraser and nips in just in time. It's cleared away, but only as far as Mahrez. Garcia has it now. Across to Zinchenko. There's certainly more hunger from Manchester City to go on and get a 9th goal.
Good play there once again by Fraser. Done his defensive job and done exactly what a few of his teammates should have done. Stayed with the runner.
Here is David Silva down the left-hand side. There's certainly been a few lessons learnt in this game. 8-0 the score. Foden over the top towards Jesus, still alive. There's a clash inside the box which the referee allows to go on. Walker's encouraged to shoot, didn't do so, and it's taken clear over on the far side. A foul is given. David Templeton brought to the floor, and a free kick is for Burton Albion, 20 yards in front of their own penalty area. Well, we've still got 18 minutes to play, and this is going to be the biggest scoreline that Pep Guardiola has racked up since being the manager of Manchester City. I think it will be Manchester City's biggest win since... Did they beat Middlesbrough by a huge scoreline many years ago? I'm not sure that's the case or not. Sven-Göran Eriksson...
Middlesbrough beat them
8-0, didn't they? Yeah. That was in Sven-Göran Eriksson's last game, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Here is Mahrez down the left. Pulls the ball infield. And gives it to Silva, and then on to Garcia. Out to the wide right position. And it's certainly bigger than any scoreline that this Etihad Stadium has seen. They beat Shakhtar 6-0 in the Champions League in November, but 8-0 is new territory. And there was a bit of a late challenge there by David Silva, who's clashed heads with Harness right on the edge of the area. He's gone over to check that he's okay. Harness is eventually being helped to his feet, but both of them only had eyes for the ball, but certainly the arm was up from David Silva.
Yeah, it was a foul, no more than that.
A few City watchers are now deciding that the result is safe, so they're off to get an early tram from the Etihad campus tram station. Ben Robinson is the chairman of Burton. He was very much a lifelong supporter of the club. He was on Breakfast Show this morning. He said he has been to the Etihad Stadium before, but only to watch a Robbie Williams concert. I bet he'd be wishing he was watching Angels instead. Here's Don McGuinness.
Well, it's an England international, Kyle Walker, who now will sit out the remaining few minutes. Well, there's a bit more than a few minutes, 16 minutes or so, and it's
job done, and I think we could probably quite safely say that this job has been done.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Burton,
he swings across into the near post. It's missed by Foden and cleared out towards the near touchline, back to the left edge of the area where Zinchenko takes over. Gundogan now has it on, plays it square. Danilo, who actually hardly played for City in the first part of the season, but has had a renaissance over December and January and has played a few more times. Zinchenko down the left, he had a bit of an injury, did play for Brazil but not so much for City in September and October. Zinchenko, Silva onto Gundogan. Oh, lovely little drag back bit of skill into the area, weaves his way past three defenders, gets it back to Mahrez. He's on the edge of the box now, they're toying with Burton here. Mahrez tries to play it down the left, Harness steps in his way, clears but only as far as Otamendi, who turns it back, and Manchester City have possession again. 14 to go.
I think at times like this, you know, whilst we do quantify it's a fantastic Manchester City team and you know, a League One side in Burton that have got a couple of injuries and whatever, spare a thought for the manager of Burton in charge of a team that's team's been beaten like this. You know, it's difficult to swallow no matter who you're playing against. Personal pride kicks in at this stage, and to make matters worse, you've got to play them again in 2 weeks.
Foden popping the ball off to Jesus. Foden gets it back again, shrugs off the defender Buxton, plays it into Zinchenko. Out wide it goes to Mahrez. Mahrez now dragging the ball back and playing it into Gundogan. Gundogan down the left in towards Zinchenko. Tries to get it through the box. Can't do so. It's cleared away by Fraser and out over to the far side where it's collected by Templeton, and he has a little bit of a run at Gundogan and at Danilo, and then it's cleared away. Sparrow is just about to come on for Burton. He's a forward. I'm not sure that he'll be doing much goal getting tonight, but it might just give one or two a rest. Aikens has gone up front in the absence of Boyce, but again all the action has come the other way, and it's coming that way again as Jesus gets into the area. Silva takes over, right footed shot into the near post, hits the outside of the near post. I think Bradley Collins got a little tip onto the woodwork there and sends it out for a corner.
Yeah, great interchange of play. I thought the opportunity to shoot had gone, and I don't know if it got a deflection. Yeah, it's got a deflection, and let's give the goalie a bit of credit as well, and a touch from the goalie.
Corner kick over on the far side then, as the substitution just about to take place. Don McGuinness just confirmed that for us.
Yeah, Joe Sparrow on for Scott Fraser for Burton, just ahead of the corner. I'm sure the idea is just get out there and enjoy it as much as you possibly can in the circumstances.
Do you think Sparrow's going to come on and ruffle some feathers? I'm just getting myself through the game now.
Yeah. Well, he might, you know, get the ball out to the flanks. I mean, it's always good if you name Sparrow to spread out to the wings.
Hey, I'm expecting better from you. Come on now.
It's the corner. Swung in by Silva to the far post. Mahrez tries to head it down. Jesus takes over. He sends the ball into the box. It hits the chest of the defender. Half-hearted appeals for handball, which are ridiculous, really. And it goes out on this near side and away for a throw-in to Manchester City. Back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko on to Foden. Foden back to halfway where it's picked up by Otamendi. Otamendi infield to Mahrez, and then on to Gundogan. Manchester City just probing once again, leading by 8-0 with 11 minutes to go. The record win in a first leg of a League Cup semi-final was by 6 goals. Manchester City set that, or at least equalled it when they played West Ham a couple of years ago. The biggest win in any League Cup game is Liverpool against Fulham 10-0 in September 1986, and the same scoreline for West Ham against Bury in October 1983. So still a couple of goals to go before they can eclipse that. Here is Otamendi spraying the pass towards the right hand side, on towards the full-back who's on rushing. Danilo tries to pull it through the area, goes over the top of the crossbar and comes back towards the left where Jesus has rescued it, into Zinchenko, Gundogan, and then back towards the halfway line because Burton have grabbed it and tried to smash it upfield, but Foden very quickly closes down Sparrow, who's trying to get away. Sparrow. I say Sparrow, it's actually Sparrow, as in S-B-A-R-R-A. It's not like Sparrow. Here is Jesus in behind the defence and cantering away from Buxton, setting up Riyad Mahrez, and Buxton just threw everything he had at blocking that to stop it from being 9. He's got a big frame as Buxton. He's all heart, and he just made a massive starfish shape and just threw himself at Riyad Mahrez to stop the ball from getting near his goal.
Yeah, fantastic block there. If he hadn't have got out to him as quick as he did, it would certainly been number 9.
Zinchenko with a cross after the corner was played short. Half-headed away, but only as far as Mahrez. Teed up for Foden, whose left-footed drive goes straight into the gloves of Bradley Collins. Well, they are a joy to watch at times when they're going forward, aren't they, Manchester City? Don't forget that you can listen to them again on Monday night. Manchester City against Wolves is live on TalkSport. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. And you'll be able to have your say on all the day's football news, including the discussions over the future of Marko Arnautovic and Callum Wilson, Gonzalo Higuain, the VAR decisions here on the Sports Bar. Jason Cundy and Andy Goldstein on air, 08717223344 from 10 o'clock tonight. If you're stuck on the M6, and from what I've seen on the M6, I think the producer was showing me a live video cam. He keeps those handy just in case. It's still shut, isn't it? And red lights all the way, as Chris Rea once said. Here is David Silva, just right of the centre circle. On to Gundogan, back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko further left and on to Bernardo Silva, who tries to tuck it infield to Zinchenko once more. It goes out to Bernardo Silva once again, and Manchester City slowly progressing up the pitch, getting towards the 18-yard line, comfortably nudging the ball between their numbers, just keeping hold of possession until Mahrez releases a ball over the top. One of those, almost like a couple of times tonight, those wide midfield players in Manchester City, Sane, Bernardo Silva, even Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez, have acted like quarterbacks. They've waited, and then when that perfect opportunity has come to release it, they've done that, and then like a trusty wide receiver, one of their forwards, Jesus or another, has collected it and scored.
Yeah, the movement's been very good. I mean, it's been exaggerated by poor defensive marking and tracking runners.
Foden, after the ball was given away in midfield by Wallace, has sent it wide to Bernardo Silva. Comes back to Mahrez, who doesn't control it first time, but manages to squeeze it away from Collins second time and pushes it beyond the on-loan goalkeeper, and it's 9. Manchester City have scored 9 goals at home against Burton Albion in what is fast becoming an embarrassing evening for Nigel Clough and his team.
Yeah, you know, once again they're finding width going down, and when the ball actually goes in the back of the net, if you count, there's 3 Manchester City players in the box and 8 Burton Albion players, and they still find a finish. The ball's very accurate, grant you that, but you've got to get tighter to the players defensively. They're getting too much room. They're working hard and getting numbers back, but you've got to get touch tight on City players.
How damaging will this be? I mean, bearing in mind, I spoke to one of the players who's out there today, and he said to me, almost sort of joking, as long as it's not double figures, we'll be okay. But in truth, how damaging could this be?
In the long scheme of things, I don't think it will be for Burton as a club. They've got to look at all the positives from it. They've got to come out, give a good account of themselves in the second leg against Manchester City. Have a look at the bank balance and say, has this cup run helped us out for the long-term future of the football club financially? And that's something they've got to look at. And Nigel's got to sort of galvanise it, if you like, and turn around and say, this is the standard that we've got to attempt to, as professionals, achieve.
City fans chanting, we want 10. Oh, that would be to equal the record scoreline in the League Cup tie. Here is David Silva, out wide to Bernardo Silva. Danilo. David Silva again. Listen to the City fans. Their appetite is not satisfied. They still have a hunger for more in this game, and we've got 5 minutes plus stoppage time to go. And the scoreboard over on the far side doesn't actually look as if it could fit double figures. in its little gap for the scoreline, but maybe it can. We might find out. Here is Harness into the area at the other end, easily swept up by Gundogan, who's under pressure. Mahrez plays it out to Zinchenko, and it's cleared away. Even some of the Burton fans clapping the football from Manchester City, which at times has been very, very good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've run Burton off their legs. I've got to say, none of the Burton players have give up. They've kept the shape. They've kept working hard, but the quality has just been there from City.
Jesus trying to add to the total, gives it to Foden inside the area, tries to tee it up for Mahrez, but can't get it cleanly back to him. It's been given away by Burton on the edge of their own box. Foden has it, little back heel, finding Bernardo Silva, then David Silva, Phil Foden again. It's so crisp and clean and precise from Manchester City, so technically good, putting Burton under pressure. Mahrez into Jesus. Are they going to get the 10th goal? Zinchenko robs the defender of the ball, gets to the byline. He's scrambling back to try and stop it from getting into Zinchenko's pass, but he can't because Mahrez has picked up the reverse into the area, and he drives the ball through the 6-yard box, and Ben Turner just about manages to divert it out and away for a corner.
Yeah, good defending there by Turner. Got right in the centre of the goal. Was very diligent with his defending. And at this stage, normally, I think both managers should do it. Get over to the fourth official and tell.
Here's Otamendi with a header. It's on target. It's saved by Bradley Collins. It shouldn't have got anywhere near that, Otamendi. It wasn't the greatest of crosses, but he still out-jumped the defender and managed to get a header on goal.
Yeah, good goalkeeping there. Right on his line, managed to get two solid hands to it. At this stage, I think both managers need to sidle over to the fourth official, Mr. Mason, and say, get a message on to the referee, no extra time, please.
Well, we had 4 goals in the first half, 5 in the second here. Manchester City rampant against a struggling Burton. The Burton side that came here not just to set up and defend, but to try and play when they had the ball. They haven't been allowed to even touch it for much of the second half. Manchester City have completely pinned them back, and they're threatening to score a 10th. Mahrez, I don't think they'll be satisfied if they don't get a 10th, Manchester City. They look like they know that it's going to be significant. It would send a huge message ringing around the ears of all others that might think about coming to the Etihad Stadium and playing with a bit of ambition.
Near enough all the goals, well, I wouldn't say all the goals, but a lot of the goals have been of a very similar type, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know, the movement of the players, that 30-yard diagonal pass potentially with a diagonal run.
And it's one of those that will pop up on the video printer, and they have to spell out the word 9 after the number. Such is the rarity of the occasion. Manchester City with a fabulous victory, a telling victory, and their biggest ever scoreline in the League Cup. And their record cup scorers in the FA Cup against Liverpool Stanley in the 1800s. I don't think we're going to get 3 in the next minute and a half plus added time, but we might get 10. Here comes Mahrez into the box, trying to tee up Foden, who in turn finds Gundogan. His strike is blocked, and blocked well by Wallace up to halfway. Otamendi recycles it. Jesus has stayed in. There's an overload on this left-hand side for City, which Mahrez takes advantage of. Zinchenko trying to go past Brayford, who on this occasion was just quicker to him, and clears only as far as Mahrez. And Mahrez is then nobbled by Fox, who came on as a substitute. They quickly take the free kick, don't swing it into the area, they play it instead, and we reach 89 minutes and 30 seconds with Manchester City still pressing and probing and trying to reach double figures. Bernardo Silva takes over. Burton tired, weary, desperately trying to see through the 90 minutes, trying to get back and stop Mahrez from swinging across into the box. Harness, is always full of running, has just about got there, but then rather lazily. Fox couldn't get it away from Zinchenko, and Manchester City are coming back again, and those aching limbs of the Burton defenders are on show for all to see. They look leggy as they walk back towards their own goal, and being forced such by Bernardo Silva and Danilo, who's crossed into the box. Foden goes up towards it, Brayford away. Gundogan tries to turn it over. They don't want to concede a 10th here, Burton. Jesus wins it now. On to Zinchenko on the left-hand side. Foden takes over. Again, there's a little gulp of breath from Hutchinson on the far side, who just allows himself a moment to rest on his thighs and then get back up and face another onslaught from this relentless blue machine attacking the goal away to our left. 45 minutes plus stoppage time have already been played. We've played a minute of stoppage time. I didn't see how many there was going to be. 2, I think there is. Gundogan towards the far post. It's collected by David Silva, tries to drive it goalwards, blocked by Hutchinson, goes out to the far side, still